2 approvals of the agenda. Any moving?
Move to approve.
Second.
Approval of the minutes.
Move. Second.
Everyone got my chair's report, so any questions, you let me know.
Ready.
What we're going to do first, I'm going to turn over this part of the meeting to Lisa for our quick elections, our biannual.
Yes. At last month's,
Every 2 years, that's twice a year.
it's
Meet
both. It's both. It's not the best English term. At last month's meeting, we held nominations for the positions of chair and vice chair. And Mark Epstein was nominated for the position of chair, and Jerry Brinkman was nominated for the position of vice chair. So now we will hold the election for those 2 positions. We do have one proxy ballot from Mike Giordino, who has endorsed the slate. So,
Move to accept the slate and to vote on the nominations.
do I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You don't get a vote, no. Okay, carries. Terrific.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I think that,
Congrats.
The champagne is on you. Champagne and beer counts.
Yeah, where's the champagne and the steaks?
Right.
it's coming.
What about Deer Park?
We still get 5 minutes and 59 seconds before it's considered late to champagne.
Right, yeah.
2 minutes yet. Still 50 minutes.
It's gonna be 2 minutes soon.
Okay, so we're gonna go to our presentations. So Hector, do you want to do the introductions or?
Sure. This is John Highland and Steve Terrasiano. Steve manages Penn Station, and John is responsible for all the Penn Station area construction. Is that correct?
I'm the executive director of Penn Station and the East River Tunnels and the infrastructure.
Oh, you couldn't turn down that nomination.
So obviously, we're concerned with a bunch of things. So the changes in Penn Station, because we keep reading things, it'd be nice to know a little bit of what's coming up. And the Amtrak changes and how that's going to affect.
What are the Amtrak changes? What are you hearing?
Well, work's going to be done, right? So it's change schedules and change those trains coming up. That's what we understand, right?
Oh, Solver. Oh,
Yeah.
That's
So-
kind of the issues that we kind of were hoping to go over today. And then the other issue is probably not them. The M9s is probably not them, but that's the other issue we want to hit today.
Okay.
Okay, so whichever one you want to take first.
Well, the release came out last week about Amtrak work. It's going to be similar to kind of what's happening now, which is about 7 trains in the morning and 7 trains in the evening. We're canceling, we're diverting some trains to Atlantic Terminal. We're adding some earlier trains, on the shoulder periods. So we don't think it's going to be much different than what you've been experiencing for the last year and a half. So that starts in July, and that work is going to end on September 2nd.
Is any line being affected more than any other line?
There's some Babylon branch
Because
trains.
that's the one I heard complaints about.
Oh,
People complain that both my train in the morning and the night are both canceled. Just could be those particular people, but I just want to know if that was
I mean,
a
Oyster.
concern than just them.
So it's a few Babylon trains, some Hempstead trains, and Long Beach trains. One Montauk train and some Ronkonkoma trains. So
So will there be a big gap between the trains at that point when those trains are
no,
canceled?
we're trying to leave a gap. So one of the ones that people one thing that's been happening is every time we do work, we cancel trains and we add these earlier morning trains. Those have become super popular. So with the May 20th timetable change, some of those trains go back to normal, and people are upset that they liked kind of the work. So a few of them we've been able to keep. So we're keeping one. There's a Farmingdale train that was like popular and it was actually full, pretty crowded, and it's a Babylon train, like a 5 something in the morning train that we found a way of keeping it because the fleet is being a little bit more reliable. We're able to make the commitment to keep those trains, even though we were going to eliminate them. So.
The other issue as far as some parking and stuff, is that separate? You want to do that
So a
after?
separate thing, so that's the Amtrak, that's the regular commuter work. Starting in June, we have some outages coming up of the main line. June 1st and 2nd weekend for third track, the Cherry Lane Bridge in Carr Place, we're going to be replacing that bridge in that one weekend, taking it out and putting a new one. So we're shutting down the main line for that weekend. Then we're not doing any work on Belmont Stakes weekend, but then the following 2 weekends in June, we're doing work in Nassau Interlocking in the New Hyde Park area. That's not technically part of their track, but it's a support of it, improving some of those switches there. So those are 2 more weekends. So 3 weekends in June, we're going to be shutting down the main line. Then following that, it's going to be in July. We're shutting down the main line for the Urban Avenue.
I just want to explain what shutting down the main line means.
Oh, There's no service. It depends. Some of it is no service between Jamaica and Hicksville, and some weekends going to be no service between Mineola and Hicksville. So it depends on where the work is taking place. When the work is taking place west of Mineola, we have to shut down from Jamaica to Hicksville. When the work is taking place east of Mineola, we have to shut down between Mineola and Hicksville. So we have two different service plans depending on where the work is. One thing is, in the past, we've always had a lot of buses that they're not really heavily used, and it just so there's a big expense. So one thing we're doing is we're going to be adding Babylon branch service, some express trains on the Babylon branch those weekends. We're going to be adding trains between Hicksville and Babylon to shuttle people back and forth that way. That's kind of, and then we're telling people to go to the Hempstead branch and the Babylon branch. And I'm in the process of reaching out to the villages and towns about if they have some weekend restrictions, waiving them those weekends so people can use all the branches.
People who commute on the weekends might be, I'm just thinking like City Field as a typical weekend commuters. Is signage going to be put up in advance, or people that don't go to the stations normally, how would they know if they're not there today to see a sign that says June weekends are?
No, we're going to start,
service?
it's going to be announced at the board in a few weeks, but before, probably next week or so, we're going to be start making an announcement, and we're going to be engaging customers, being at stations and reaching out to people to make sure they know.
But my point is, some people who go to a game aren't normal commuters.
No.
So if we're distributing or putting up signage at a station, I'm someone who doesn't take the railroad normally, but I go to my ball games on the weekend. I'm not saying me, but hypothetically, how would they know? Like, could there be something on the City Field webpage where
Well, okay, that's a good idea.
it gives them information on like how to commute to a game?
Okay.
Almost have a warning there, or maybe a link to the MTA site.
The park
Don't
land,
bother
park
trying.
is everything.
No, yeah, that's a good idea.
Guys, if we could, do you think we could jump into John and I's
Yeah.
presentation? Because
Go
we
ahead.
we're kind of pressed for time, and we gotta,
Go ahead.
want to give you guys everything we got here. 'Cause- there you go.
I'm gonna go to Michelle.
I'm just I only bought 4 or 5 because I was told to bring 4 or
That's
5.
what I told.
So this is what's going on at Penn. This is obviously a little bit, this was something the governor gave. Actually, I took it from his presentation. But it gives you an idea of what's going on. Moynihan is coming online shortly. That project is approximately 57% complete right now. I was in there the other day. I could show you a couple of interesting pictures.
If you can go to, how Moynihan will affect the Long Island Railroad riders?
The Long Island Railroad, it'll affect Long Island Railroad, but people who want to go to the west side of Manhattan, they'll have a more direct route. During inclement weather, they'll be able to get all the way to 9th Avenue, indoors.
So it's really just entries and exits for
Yeah,
for riders.
right. So they,
Everything's gonna be mostly Amtrak over there, right?
yeah, well, it's going to be 100% Amtrak. Amtrak is moving everything over there. And then we're also going to have a ticket window, and we're going to have access to our tracks from there also. A significant amount of people are using the West End Concourse right now and going out through the 31st and 33rd Street exits. So I anticipate that those people will also use the Moynihan facility. And as the West Side Yard gets built up and there's more employment opportunities there, more people will be using that as well, I assume. All right, I feel. So you see here on this page, they show some of the canopies, the skylights. I was in there a couple of days ago. That's what the skylights look like. 2 of the 4 are completed, including the mid-block skylight, which is actually behind this one, and it's canopied leading from 31st to 33rd. So that project is really coming along. It's zipping along, actually. It's ahead of schedule, and they want to have it open by December 31st, 2020. These escalators that you see in this visualization, they actually come all the way down to the platforms.
Now, how many platforms are actually going to be under there?
Platforms, don't tell me, 3 through 8. So that's tracks 5, 6 through 15 and 16.
And that's going to be solely used by Amtrak?
No, we use platform 7 and 8 exclusively during the AM and PM peak. So that's 13, 14, 15, and 16 tracks. Then to access track 17, there'll be an elevator from Moynihan, and to access 18, 19, 20, and 21, there's an escalator leading down to the West End Concourse where you go right down to those tracks.
So that means people can wait there and then catch their trains from Moynihan.
Yes.
They
Correct.
don't have to
It's-
be here.
No.
Right, it's not, you know, you would look at it and think, oh, it's gonna be a big, it's about a minute. But you're not talking a big stretch to get to the.
Well, you have like shopping and restaurants and stuff.
Yes,
right?
they're supposed to have world-class.
Yes, on the other side, there's the train hall that opens up into, once you go through the train hall, it'll go into the retail area. So
And-
like when you enter the mid-block, you'll walk
So
in,
you could eat there and still get your station for your train
Yeah.
within a relatively.
Well, no, you can get your train from
you
here.
can get your train right from
From
here,
there,
you
you're
just
gonna
gotta walk right down to,
platform.
there'll be direct access,
You'll be
that
the back
wall.
of the train.
You familiar with the video wall on the West End Concourse, when you enter from
It's like a-
31st to
it's like-
33rd, there's a big video wall? Those walls go away, and that's right at the train hall.
That's right, the train hall. And that balcony that you see, there's supposed to be world-class restaurants up there. But that's up to the developer, we don't really have a part in that. We're just technically speaking, we're just a leaseholder.
Will there be people movers between, under 8th Avenue? No?
Yes, their
Under
feet,
8th Avenue.
People's feet.
People's feet or the
No,
wheels, right?
under 8th Avenue is the West End Concourse.
Yeah, their feet will be moving
Right.
as well.
And I'm looking forward to it when
Nikes.
the West End Concourse is no longer on the West End, what we call it.
It'll be like in the middle almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Right.
it'll be in the middle of the Penn Station complex, and I'm not sure what we're gonna call Moynihan when it's not a post office. Anyway,
Now, what happens to like the Amtrak space up in the upper level tier?
I have no
That's
idea.
coming?
I have no idea. I really don't have any idea. Off the record, Amtrak,
Well,
Wait,
on the camera.
hold on, you're on
Right.
video.
Record.
Can you pause that for a sec?